And so instead of judging my body because it wasn't masculine enough, or it wasn't feminine enough, or it wasn't this and it wasn't that, I just said, you know what, I just want to see me. Apologize, but did my dysphoria change, and how? From that conversation I had with myself, I made it a point to start taking the advice that I was giving other people about bodily appreciation and acceptance. And I would look in the mirror and I would look in the mirror and I wouldn't even try and be positive. I would just be neutral. I would just look in the mirror and see myself and say, hello. I'm happy to see you, and I mean that. Why am I happy to see me? Because I remembered all the times when I was about to give up. I remembered all the times when I didn't give a care in the world about what I saw in my reflection, what I felt from myself, what I thought I could give to my family, my friends, and my community. I remember the time when I didn't have any thought about that, and it was because I really did not care. I didn't care. I was suicidal. And so I looked in the mirror and was happy to see a person who was about to start a change. I saw a person who was going to make mistakes. I saw a person who's made many mistakes. But I saw somebody who was willing to acknowledge them in order to create a better future. And I was happy to see that. And so instead of judging my body because it wasn't masculine enough, or it wasn't feminine enough, or it wasn't this and it wasn't that, I just said, you know what, I just want to see me. I'm still battling with that. I'm still kind of, trying to have a healthy balance between goals and achieving them, and accepting what I am and what I have and what I'm capable of now. But it's a journey that I'm happy to be able to even have the mind to orient myself towards. Because again, there was a time where I denied and did not want to acknowledge anything feminine about myself. I didn't want to acknowledge the natural intuitive energy within me. I didn't want to acknowledge the emotional processes. I did not want to acknowledge the connection that I shared with other people based on the fact that I did have a female centeredness within me. I didn't want to acknowledge my body for what it was. I didn't want to acknowledge so much about myself, very central, concrete parts about myself, that I started to treat myself as if I was something unnatural. Yes, I've been, had my connections that should be here. I've had them disrupted by media. Yes, I've had them disrupted by colonization, and that's actually something I wanted to touch on, was that a huge chunk of my acceptance towards myself, about being ashamed, about being gender fluid, about being whatever it is that I am on whatever day, in whatever moment, in whatever way, has been about decolonizing my mind and decolonizing my emotions. And what that means is that I had to ask myself, okay, if we were not being so marginalized and oppressed and overruled and shamed and abandoned and just so many things, if this wasn't the climate of white supremacy, if there wasn't this climate of oppression towards people of color, towards indigenous peoples, towards natural, sovereign human beings, would I still feel this way? Would I still believe the things that I believe? How much in my mind and my heart comes from the television, comes from my interactions with people who believe the same shit they see on TV as well? And so that's when I started to be more critical of what I was receiving around me, and I started to understand why people call it the devil's box. But we ain't gonna go that deep, I guess, whatever. But what it became was that I started to see that it is okay for me to accept myself however it is that I desire and wish to know and be, and also for what it is that I am. I started to see that, okay, some of the discomfort that I experienced was not my own. And I learned that from my time in college. I learned that because I felt comfortable. I felt comfortable enough to where I wanted to be naked. And yet my hesitance will come in when I would think about potential acts of violence, potential acts of unnecessary shaming and outing. The stress didn't come from my body being my body. The stress came from the environment in which other people could create an influence around me based on my body. And that's what made me be more introspective and reflective of what it is that I am processing. Just like we eat food, I had to be careful of the thoughts that I was allowing into my mind. So that's my answer to the question. Has my dysphoria changed, and how? I don't know when the person said how, did they mean, you know, what's changed in the dysphoria, or how did it change? But I think I just explained how it changed. I'm done running my mouth for this moment, but as always, I appreciate you all for lending a moment in time to listen to whatever it is that I have to say. And as always, I read the comments every single time. Definitely don't hesitate to share your piece, man. It's definitely welcomed. You are honored here. And I celebrate our differences and our diversities. You know, I sat down on the ground like this, and I said, okay, I'm just going to sit here and listen to you, body. My body did not feel appreciated. My body in particular did not feel respected. My body did not feel acknowledged. My body didn't feel worthy.